Hi, welcome to my first progress report. And I think I've come to a pretty important milestone in my project, which is realizing that there are two actually pretty distinct strains in what I'm trying to study. And one of them I think has been more apparent on this blog, and that's the culture of graffiti. So what it's like to walk around the city and do a graffiti tour, what is art actually like, what are graffiteros like, what do they think about this issue of graffiti, because it's so different from what is in the States, because it's not vandalism here, it's a type of very legitimate art. And the second strain, which I've only kind of recently really touched upon, is really its link to politics. So recently I discovered this group and this exhibition called Tucuman Arte, which occurred in the 1960s, and it was essentially a group of artists who said that art couldn't be this really bourgeois thing, and that even if you're trying to do really vanguardian art in the exhibits, that doesn't do anything, that you need to do art in the streets, and they wanted to redefine art as politics. And I think that's really interesting in light of the fact that today these graffiteros are now returning to the gallery, and so you see this sort of backwards flow where originally these gallery artists decided that they need to work on the streets because that legitimized art, that really was what defined art, and then now these graffiteros kind of crawling back into the art world, or the high art world, or having these curators want street art. And so what does that mean in terms of art history here, in terms of society and politics, and then also just in terms of like the history and the story of graffiti and how that links to politics, which is really what I think I came in here hoping to discover. So hopefully you'll see more of that in the blog soon. I think it's a lot harder to touch upon because it requires me to recreate what happened between the 60s and basically today, when clearly I haven't been here during that time, and so I'll be relying a lot more on secondary sources and a lot less on sort of what I see in the streets and in galleries, and hopefully you'll see some interviews with more academic people who can tell you that part of the story, as well as with some of the more original graffiteros who can talk about how they entered the stage in the 90s and what that scene was like in the 90s. Okay, cool. Thanks.